Good afternoon, everyone. Hope I'm audible to everyone. We'll be waiting for a few
Good
more
afternoon, ma'am.
minutes. Good afternoon. We'll be waiting for a few more minutes for everyone to join. Then we'll start with this webinar.
Thank you, ma'am.
واحد ما عملنا امبارح يقول لك انا بقول لبابا فاضل لك هنركب لك جناحين تبقى ملك.
Okay, so we'll start with the webinar. A very warm good afternoon to everyone who has joined this session. I, on behalf of QAI, would like to welcome you all. And let me introduce myself first. Myself, Anuja Dikshit. I am associated with QAI as Assistant Manager, CIA. Hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So we'll move forward with the webinar. As we all know, the webinar is based on the overview of QAI accreditation program for PT providers as per ISO IEC 17043. So the agenda for our webinar is, firstly, we'll start with the introduction of the standard. Then we'll move forward with the role of accreditation in enhancing the quality and credibility. Then we'll move on to benefits of QAI accreditation for PT providers, steps to achieving QAI accreditation, and then we'll move on to question and answer session at the end. In case anyone who has joined this session have any doubts or the voice disturbances are faced by anyone, can ping me through messages. We'll acknowledge it through the chat box. Great. So if I'm audible, then we'll start with it. Okay. So starting with the introduction to the standard ISO IEC 17043/2023, that is general requirements for the competency of proficiency testing providers. So firstly, let me start with introduction of proficiency testing. What is proficiency testing? So proficiency testing is an essential tool for demonstrating the competency of the CAP, that is conformity assessment bodies, the laboratories. It can provide evidence of competency and can be an indicator of any underlying or emerging problem. Basically, the standard is intended to promote confidence in the operations of PT provider, as it contains the requirement for PT providers that enable them to demonstrate that they can operate competently and can generate a valid evaluation for participation, valid evaluation of the participants' performance. What are the purpose of proficiency testing? So participation in proficiency testing gives many benefits to the CAP. Few of them are evaluation of the performance of laboratory for specific measurements, test, calibration, inspection, or sampling. Identification of problems in laboratories. For example, it can be related to measurement of test method, effectiveness of training, or calibration of any equipment. It also establishes the effectiveness of measurement or test method and the comparability of measurement and test results. The participation in proficiency testing program not only increases confidence of the lab, but it also increases the reliability of the customers. The participating laboratories get many benefits from participation in the PT rounds, as it enhances the confidence when the lab participates and passes any round. So moving on to the requirements of the standard. Basically, the standard consists of 8 clauses. The main 5 clauses are Clause 4, general requirements. Clause 5, structural requirements. Clause 6, resource requirements. Clause 7, process requirements. And the last one is management system requirements. We'll move on to the first important clause, that is the general requirements, which include impartiality and confidentiality. Firstly, we'll start with impartiality. The PT provider shall be structured and managed so as to safeguard impartiality. Before we move on to the further slides, I would like to clarify that there are a few of the terms, verbal forms that are being used in the presentation, where shall, if I'm using shall, that indicates a requirement, and may will indicate a permission, as specified in the standard as well. So, explaining impartiality, the PT provider shall be structured and managed so as to safeguard impartiality. The PT provider shall monitor its activities and its relationships to identify threats. This monitoring shall include relationships to its personnel. Threats to impartiality should be eliminated or minimized when working in a PT provider. Then moving on to confidentiality, PTP has to protect participants' information, including their performance, evaluation, and same should not be revealed to anybody else other than the concerned participants, clients, accreditation bodies without agreement with the client or participant. All proprietary information must be regarded as confidential. Moving on to the structural requirements, the proficiency testing provider shall have a legal identity or defined part of a legal identity with clear management responsibility for the PT activities. The PT activities shall be carried out in a way to meet the requirements of standard as well as requirements of participants, customers, regulatory authorities, and organizations providing recognitions. Moving on to the clause resource requirement. The PT provider shall have access to the necessary resources to manage and perform its activities. The necessary resources include personnel, facility, equipment, system, and support services. Firstly, we'll start with the resource requirements with personnel. The proficiency testing provider shall have sufficient and competent personnel to perform PT activities and to evaluate significance of their deviations. The PT provider must document evidence of its personal competency affecting PT activities, covering their education qualifications, training, knowledge, and skills, and also the experience of the employees. Moving on to the facilities and environmental conditions. Appropriate facilities and environmental conditions shall be ensured for the validity of PT activities. Environmental conditions impacting the validity of PT activities should be documented, controlled, monitored, recorded, and periodically reviewed. Then externally provided products and services. As stated in the document standard, these three activities shall not be undertaken by any external service providers, which include designing and planning of the PT scheme, evaluation of the performance, authorization of reports. These three things are to be done internally only and should not be done through any external service provider. Procedures shall be in place to ensure experience and technical competency of external products and services providers. PT participants shall be informed in advance and in writing of products and services that are or can be provided externally if it can impact the validity of the PT services. The PT provider shall have procedures and retain records for managing external products and service providers. Moving on to the process requirements, that is clause number 7. The PT provider will have procedures in place to manage the following things. Firstly, establishing, contracting, and communicating the PT scheme objectives, design and planning of PT scheme, production and distribution of PT items, evaluation and reporting of PT scheme results, control of PT scheme process, handling of any complaints or appeals. So we'll start with the first clause under 7th clause, that is 7.1, establishing, contracting, and communicating the PT scheme objectives. So the first is review of requests, tenders, and contracts. So the review procedures should address the following questions for the PT scheme. The review request should include the following things, that are the objectives must be defined and do they meet the customer need? Are the requirements defined, documented, and understood? Is sufficient capability and resource are available to meet the requirements? Is the PT scheme technically appropriate? These things should be addressed in a review procedure. Then PT scheme communication. Detailed information shall be available, including objectives and relevant details of the PT scheme, which include purpose of the PT, product, test, analyte level, and test methods that are to be used. Further, the criteria for determining the assigned value and the evaluation of performance. Confidentiality agreement, critical timelines, any fee for participation, and the details of how they can apply. Further, moving on to clause 7.2, that is design and planning of PT scheme. All the activities which directly affect the validity of PT scheme shall be identified, defined, and planned. A documented plan shall be developed addressing the objectives, purpose, and design. Risk to the validity of PT scheme shall be identified and managed wherever significant changes to activities are introduced. The PT provider should inform the laboratory wherever they are making any changes to the PT scheme throughout the round. Statistical design shall be developed to meet the objective of the scheme. Statistical design and data analysis methods used to determine the assigned value and evaluate participant results shall be documented. The statistical assumptions shall be demonstrated to be reasonable. This shall have a documented procedure for determining the assigned values, taking account of the required methodological traceability and uncertainty. Further, moving on to clause 7.3, that is production and distribution of PT items. The procedures shall be in place to ensure that the PT items are produced in accordance with the plan and fit for the purpose. The PT item should match the laboratory routine samples. Both real and simulated PT items might be used. Then the criteria for suitable homogeneity and stability shall be established based on the risk to impact the evaluation of participant performance. Appropriate handling, storage, and shipment of PT items shall be in place from production to distribution. This should include prevention of contamination, damage, or deterioration of the PT material. Then it should meet national, regional, and international safety standards and the transport requirements. Participants shall be given sufficient notice about when they will receive the PT items. Also, the participants shall receive a detailed documented instructions on handling and treating the PT item and reporting of the results. Further, moving on to the data analysis. After the complete PT round has been conducted, further comes the data analysis steps. So the results received from the participants shall be recorded and analyzed by appropriate methods. Procedure shall be established and implemented to check the validity of data entry, data transfer, statistical analysis, and reporting. PT provider shall have procedure for treatment of results from different measurement or test methods in a PT scheme, allows participants to use varying methods for comparison and evaluation. Handling measurement or test results unsuitable for statistical evaluation due to calculation errors, transportation, or other gross mistakes. Any such mistakes that occur during address that. Identify and address situations where distributed PT items or collected data are unsuitable for evaluation due to issues like homogeneity, inhomogeneity, instability, damage, or contamination. Further, after the complete analysis of the data is done, there comes the evaluation of the PT scheme results, which include the participants' results that shall be recorded and analyzed using appropriate methods. So into this, the summary, statistics, and performance statistics are associated. Information consistent with the statistical design shall be generated. procedures to handle outliers, results from different methods, and results inappropriate for statistical evaluation shall be in place. A valid documented method of performance evaluation shall be used that meet the objectives of the PT scheme. For example, an example of valid method of evaluation are also described in ISO 13528. Expert commentary should be provided on participants' performance, variation within and between participants, variation between measurement or test method, possible sources of error, advice, and feedback to participants as part of continuous improvement procedure of participants. Then after the complete evaluation, data analysis are done, further comes the step of reporting of the PT scheme results. The PT provider needs to provide clear, accurate, objective, comprehensive, and controlled PT report to the participants within a planned time scale. The report shall include the following, unless it is not applicable or the PT provider has a valid reason for not doing so. So the report should include the name and contact details of the PT provider, identification of the person authorizing the report, identification of external providers involved in activities that affect the PT item or services, date of issue, and status of the report. For example, whether the report is preliminary, interim, or final report. Unique identification of all report components and clear identification at the end of the report. Statement regarding the confidentiality of the results, unique identification of the report and the PT scheme. Further, clear description of the PT item, including production, homogeneity, and stability assessments. It should also include results of the participant, including reported measurement uncertainties, procedures used, the statistical data, the metrological traceability, the sign value, and their uncertainties, procedure that has been used by the PT provider to establish standard deviation for proficiency test assessment or evaluation criteria, comment on the performance of the participants, the design and implementation of the PT scheme, and also advice on interpreting statistical analysis, comment on the overall findings of the report. Moving on to clause 7.5, that is control of the PT scheme process. The PT provider shall maintain controlled technical records, which include results, reports, and other necessary information that has been provided by the participants, date and identity of the personnel responsible for each PT activity, and for checking data and results. Data used to verify PT items, instructions to participants, the original responses of participants, and any other information included in report. The PT software and other information system shall have been validated for functionality and maintained to ensure integrity of the data and information. Procedure should be in place to ensure sufficient surveillance of process to ensure validity of the PT scheme. The PT provider shall have documented procedure to address non-conforming works. Also, the documented procedure for handling of complaints and appeals shall be in place. Moving on to the last clause, that is management system requirements. It includes the following sub-clauses. Firstly, that is the general requirement. The proficiency testing provider must establish, implement, and maintain a management system that ensure the quality, consistency of the PT activities. This system should be effective and continually improved. Management system documentation. The policies and objectives shall address the competency, impartiality, and consistent operations of the PT provider. All documentation, process, systems, and records related to the fulfillment of the requirement of this document shall be included or referenced from the management system. Control of management system documents. The PT provider shall control the documents, internal or external, that related to the fulfillment of the document. The PT provider shall ensure that the documents are approved for advocacy prior to the issue by authorized personnel. Documents are periodically reviewed and updated as and when it is necessary. Changes and current revision status of documents should be identified. Relevant version of applicable documents are available at point of use and their distribution is controlled. Documents are to be uniquely identified. The unintended use of obsolete documents is prevented and that suitable identification is applied to them if they are retained for any purpose. Then control of records. The PT provider shall establish and retain legible records to demonstrate fulfillment of requirements in this document. The PT provider shall implement the controls needed for the identification, storage, protection, backup, archive, retrieval, retention time, and disposal of its records. The PT provider shall retain records for a periodic consistent with its contractual obligations. Access to these records shall be consistent with the confidentiality commitments and records shall be readily available. Further, the actions to address risk and opportunities. The PT provider shall consider the risk and opportunities associated with the activities in order to give assurance to the management system, enhance desirable effects to achieve purpose and objectives, prevent or reduce undesired impact or potential failures in the PT activities, and also to achieve improvement. The PT provider shall plan activities to address these risks and opportunities, how to integrate and implement these actions into its management system, and how to evaluate the effectiveness of these actions. Further, moving on to improvement, the PT provider shall identify and select opportunities for the improvement and implement any necessary action. Also, the PT provider shall seek feedback, both negative and positive, for its participants and customers. The feedback should be analyzed and used as a tool for improvement of the management system. Moving on to the corrective actions. Whenever any non-conformity occur, the PT provider shall take action to address the consequences, evaluate the need for action to eliminate the cause of the non-conformity, implement any action needed, review the effectiveness of the corrective action taken, update risk and opportunities determined during the planning, make changes to the management system if it is required. The PT provider shall keep record of the nature and effectiveness of the corrective actions that have been taken. Moving on to the internal audits. The PT provider must conduct internal audits at planned intervals to assess whether the management system meets the provider's requirements for the system and activities, complies with specific document requirements, effective implementation and maintenance. Also, the PT provider must plan and maintain an audit program considering the importance of PT activities, changes, and previous audit results. Ensure audits are conducted by qualified independent personnel with knowledge of PT activities, auditing, and the document requirement. The PT plan should have the internal audit plan should have a clear criteria for the audit and based on the scope. Report audit results to the relevant management and so that further implementation of the necessary corrective actions can be done promptly. For all the activities done during the internal audit, based on the improvement or any necessary changes that are required, should be retained. The record for all the activities done should be retained as evidence. Moving on to the management review. The PT provider management shall review its management system at planned intervals in order to ensure its suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. These are the below agenda that has to be followed during the management review. The outputs from the management review should be recorded for the effectiveness of the management system and its process, improvement of activities, provision of required resources, or any other changes that are required. So this was the overview for the standard 17043. Further, we'll start with the role of accreditation in enhancing quality and credibility, and also the benefits of QAI accreditation for PT providers. So, what is accreditation? Basically, accreditation is the independent third-party evaluation of a conformity assessment body, such as laboratory, inspection body, certification body, against a recognized standard, conveying formal demonstration of its impartiality and competency to carry out specific conformity assessment tasks, such as certification, inspection, testing. What are the benefits of accreditation? As a PT provider with international criteria, it have the following advantages. Firstly, comparison of a facility's performance with that of other participants. Monitoring of a long-term performance of a facility. Improvement in the performance of tests or calibration following investigation and identification of the causes or unsatisfactory PT performance, and introduction of corrective action to prevent reoccurrence. It also can be done for staff education, training, and competency monitoring. Evaluation of method, including establishment of method, precision, and accuracy. Contribution to the facility's overall risk management system. Confidence building with entrusted participants, example, customer, accreditation body, regulatory specifiers. Proficiency testing provider play an important role in the value chain for assurance of products and services. Being an accredited PTP in accordance with the standard gives the organization credibility of their services. Further, let me give you an overview of Quality and Accreditation Institute. We have a vision of nurturing the largest global pool of organizations and people through quality improvement and accreditation framework. Our values include listener, seek continuous feedback from stakeholders to address their concerns, competitive, look for viable options to benefit users of our services, transparency, clear defined policies are being made available in public domain, innovation, continuously evolve using co-design and co-creation. What is the mission of QAI? Our mission is to conceive and deliver education, training, accreditation, and related programs in partnership with stakeholders using an approach of co-design and co-creation. We are into operations from August 2017. We are also a PAC ILEC MRA signatory for medical ISO 15189 and for testing that is ISO IC 17025. QAI have the below verticals that have been mentioned in this slide. Our verticals include CET, that is Center of Education and Training. Further, it is CAHSC, that is Center for Accreditation of Health and Social Care. CIA, that is Center for International Accreditation. And CABF, that is Center for Accreditation for Veterinary Facilities. We also have, under these verticals, we have the following programs running. Firstly is accreditation of medical laboratories as per ISO 15189. Medical laboratories requirement for quality and competency. Accreditation of testing laboratories as per ISO IEC 17025, that is general requirements for competency of testing and calibration laboratories. Recognition of medical laboratories as per the requirement of Central Clinical Establishment Act. Accreditation of calibration laboratories as per ISO IC 17025. Biobanking accreditation as per ISO 20387. That is general requirements for biobanking. It is the first time in India the accreditation of inspection bodies as per ISO IC 17020, which is conformity assessment, requirements for operation of various types of bodies performing inspection. Accreditation of proficiency testing provider as per ISO IC 17043, which is conformity assessment for general requirement for for proficiency testing. Accreditation of reference material provider as per ISO 17034, which is general requirement for the competency of reference material producers. Then QAI is India's second largest accreditation body in laboratory accreditation. Here we can see the global reach of QAI has been highlighted in this slide. Moving on to our international recognitions. The international recognitions are for Center for International Accreditation, that is the vertical, which is CIA. CIA is a full member MRA signatory of Asia Pacific Accreditation Corporation, that is APAC. QAI is also the signatory for International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation, that is ILAC. The testing labs of India are also accepted by the following government bodies. The recognition include BIS, that is Bureau of Indian Standards, Eastern Railways, Central Public Work Department, that is CPWD, Directorate General of Quality Assurance, that is DGQA, Power Finance Corporation, PFC, Coal India Limited, that is CIL, Legal Metrology Department of Consumer Affairs, National Highway Authority of India, that is NHAI. The recognitions also are recognized by Military Engineering Services, that is MES, Power Grid Corporation of India, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, that is BEE, Rights Limited, Public Work Department, that is MP Government, BHEL Bhopal, Directorate Urban Administration and Development, which is in MP Bhopal, National Building Construction Corporation. These are the international recognitions. The international recognitions include United States Environment Protection Agency, that is US EPA, United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, that is US CPSC, World Organization of Animal Health, that is WOAH. This is the accreditation mark of QAI. So what are the special features of QAI CIA accreditation programs? So comprehensive assessment management system, which allows quick turnaround time for accreditation process, as each step is linked to a defined period. For all the steps that we initiate, there is a certain time period in which that has to be completed. There is no mandatory pre-assessment, which eventually reduces the turnaround time. The pre-assessment is completely optional for the laboratories or any other no mandatory pre-assessment is there, so the laboratory does not have to go through necessary pre-assessment. So introducing a new concept of self-assessment and providing opportunity to lab for a thorough review of the documents and implementation of requirements as per the standard. Our process ensures continuous support to our clients in handling their queries as the lab is unique in itself. Rigorous assessor management system, including a transparent monitoring and evaluation mechanism for all the empaneled assessors. So the special features of CIA accreditation program. We are open to hear the voice of all the clients, and we also keep the clients first. We harmonize local, national, regional, and global framework. There is a blend of global strategy, experience, and leadership. We have a unique fee structure across the globe based on economy of the country, which is specified by World Bank classification. We have a comprehensive fee structure, application, and annual accreditation fee. Here, I would also like to highlight that QAI does not charge any honorarium of the assessors. We only charge the application fees and the annual accreditation fees. Our programs are economic and yet global mode. So what are the eligibility of QAI accreditation? The applicant PTP must comply with all the clauses of the standard, that is ISO IEC 17043 2023. The PTP must have conducted at least one PT scheme in same or similar matrix, that is the PT item, in each group. The groups include textile, solid fuels, metal, alloy, food, and agriculture products, with at least some of the critical parameters in accordance with the standard for which the scope has been applied. For PT programs not conducted or not completed, which are in process, at least PT item, PT design document, that is the detailed document as how the program will be conducted, shall have been prepared for the entire scope that has been applied for the accreditation. The applicant PTP must have conducted at least one internal audit and a management review before the submission of application. In case the PT program for calibration laboratory, the reference standard used for assigning the value of artifact, that is the PT item, shall be calibrated against a standard which is directly traceable to National Meteorological Institute, that is NMI. So what are the steps to achieve QAI accreditation? What all things a laboratory or PT provider or any other services need to submit when they are applying for our accreditation? The following things are required, that include soft copy of completed application form. All the forms for all the services, all the programs are available on our website. The soft copy of self-assessment toolkit along with reference documents, soft copy of quality manual or management system documentation, the application fees as per the scope that they have applied, soft copy of signed QAI CIA 002, that is the document of QAI, which is terms and conditions for obtaining and maintaining the accreditation or certification. These things are to be submitted while submitting the application for any standard. So let me brief you the complete process, the accreditation process. Starting with the application, as highlighted in the previous slide, all the documents have to submitted with the application. Further, the allotted accreditation officer will review and acknowledge the application. Once we receive the complete application with no errors or anything that have been missed, then we'll move on to acknowledgement and registration of that application. Further, the documents submitted by the laboratory for or any other services are then reviewed by the lead assessor that has been appointed with the consent of the laboratory. Once the documents are approved by the LA, we move on to the final assessment, where a complete team based on the scope applied will be appointed with the consent of laboratory. After the assessment is done, the accreditation officer review the complete assessment report. Further feedback are taken, and any necessary corrective actions that have been raised during the assessment are looked into, and this process includes the submission of NC closures as well. Further, when the NCs are closed and the complete accreditation process is done, further the complete file goes to the panel of reviewers, whether the complete process is analyzed by them and further recommended for accreditation. Further, the complete application goes to our CEO and approved for the accreditation. Once we get all the approvals, we issue the accreditation certificate, which will be issued by the concerned accreditation officer or QAI secretary. We have the accreditation cycle of 2 years, and after 2 years, the application of renewal has to be submitted 3 months before the expiry of the accreditation. That marks the end of our overview and brief of QAI. In case anyone have any questions, you can ping me through the chat section, or you can unmute yourself and clear the doubt. Here we have the mobile number and the email mentioned, where you can connect with us for any doubts related to QAI accreditation or related to any standard program that we are having. For any verticals, you can contact through these mail IDs and phone numbers. Also, I would like to mention there is one link of feedback in the comment section where you all are requested to kindly give feedbacks. Okay, since we are at the end of our session, I would like to request everyone in the session to kindly switch on their camera so that we can take a photograph. If everyone is comfortable for opening their cameras, I would like to request everyone to switch on. Okay, on the count of 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you everyone for joining the session. And in case you have any doubts or confusions, please contact us through the mentioned links, website or phone number. You can also get our contact details through our website.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm Reenu from Conformity Testing Lab. My question is कि ILEC and APEC approval for QAI only for the 15189 or 17025, I think.
Yes, we are in process of getting approval of calibration as well. We have undergone the assessment, and we
17043 also.
Yes, we are in process of getting that.
20
Okay.
also,
Yes, once we'll get that, we'll update it on
Matlab
our.
other standard also is in our process,
Yeah,
right?
they are
Now
in
only
process.
for 2 standards,
Yes,
15189
right.
and the 17025.
Right.
That's why
right.
I'm asking ki
Yes, we are already in process of getting other approvals as well. But
Okay,
right now we are having just for these 2.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so we'll end the session. Thank you for joining and thank you for coordination and cooperation. Thank you.
you, ma'am. Thank you.